We're about to start. I hope that you're at the 45-second mark, because if you are, grab that remote, have your thumb, your trigger thumb on the play button, but do not hit it, because we're going to do it at the same time again. I'm going to count up to 3, and when I say 3, you hit that button. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Lorelai's very chipper in this episode.
I love this Lala.
Hey, this is a new Lala, isn't it? La 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 la.
I can't remember if this is a new one.
I've never heard those Lalas before.
Roy is broke.
She spent all her stuff.
Does Lorelai have the right to be angry at her mother?
Yes,
absolutely.
I'm totally
How is
joking.
that
I'm totally joking.
I had a moment. I was like, "Oh, he's playing with us." Yeah. Oh, otherwise we'd think you're insane and probably quit.
Lorelai has the right to never speak to her mother, but that's just one.
It's interesting. Is mad at Emily though, because we don't see that happen very often. So it's kind of funny to see her actually being offended by something.
Sherry just sent me a direct message saying expletive lewdly. Which I kind of had a feeling Sherry would send something like that.
But Diane, you have a really good point. That's such a good point that actually Lorelai, like she said, chooses to be amused most of the time. So for her to actually be mad, it is a big deal.
But yeah, I mean, that episode, the way that episode ends with her being like, "We're done," it's a pretty like explosive ending. It's one of the most memorable endings in the entire series.
Yes.
Poor Luke is in a bad mood. I wonder what.
Chilean dictator. That was not that hard of a kick. Come on. For a second there, I thought he had like a Nazi armband on.
Look outside Luke's window right there where the play set is. It always changes in that area every season.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Thank you for telling us that.
The episode where Lorelai gets in the fight with Snow, it was Miss Patty's.
Well, Miss Patty's is just to the left of there.
Yeah, Miss Patty's in the same spot. I'm just saying right where that play set is behind the window.
The play set. Oh, gotcha.
What about the statue that's to the left of the play set? Is that still there always?
Oh no, like all that stuff changes. Like it's as if, because we had so many different production designers, I think it just didn't have consistency.
Interesting.
It's possible like they'd add a line or some movement about it, and then they would just put it in.
Luke is mad.
He's well adjusted.
You ever do anything with the props on the show, or did you mostly just focus on the costumes?
I don't know, my job was to do costumes. I'm just pointing out stuff that I noticed because you guys might not notice it. I noticed it when I was on.
And we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
We love you, Valerie. I still miss
Absolutely.
those. I still miss those like collar wrinkle adjustments.
I hope I wasn't too annoying.
Never.
John, as a writer, how do you think this is going? Like, where is this going?
Here comes my favorite part.
I'm not totally sure.
And hang up again. Hang up again.
By the way, what specifically do you mean? What specifically? Where?
The conversation about being hung up on by the insurance agent.
I don't know where it's going. I'm sure it's going somewhere very specific.
I want y'all to pay attention to this part. Like, what? The fact that she hung up when she said her
It's so
name.
good.
When she said her name.
As Emily deserves.
Meaning she got CDs in the mail. Or
Those
DVDs
were
in the
A's.
Bang bump the hair.
I like this Lorelai.
A night on the town with Suki sounds super fun. I would totally.
Right? Me too.
Here comes your moment, Emma.
I believe it's a meet cute, isn't it?
It is.
I believe it's referred to as a meet cute, not a cute meet.
Yes, meet cute.
I feel like I'm like 20 seconds behind for some.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
These two have made love. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least made out for sure.
Yeah, yes or no? They
Yeah.
we think that they've had sex.
I would say yes.
I think it's important for us to understand where they're at right now.
For sure, at least like heavily made it.
Yes, Jonathan, they have bumped the ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, when Rory, the Rory character, has sex for the first time on the show, there was some controversy about that. And if I remember correctly, it had something to do with the folks that helped finance the pilot, which was there was some money coming from a conservative group that was, really into this idea that, like, a young mother would have her child.
Really?
I feel like I remember that.
Who wouldn't
too,
know?
in the news.
Yeah, that there was a pro-life group that was really liked the themes that the show had, in regards to this young mother who had her child, and then that same group was not happy about the way that the Rory character lost her virginity.
Oh, so speaking on Rory, I hope y'all noticed, like, she just assumed having dibs on laundry at a place that she technically don't live in right now.
I wonder if that's why they have the Planned Parenthood poster in her dorm.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
it's interesting they put the
Maybe.
poster in a dorm as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics on it. I wish Sean was here because I feel like he does know the specifics on it. Was maybe thinking, Valerie, you might know, but that is something that I heard and I remember, and it might have even been in the press. So that might be something that you could even potentially Google.
It sounds familiar, like there was definitely those kind of groups out there disputing what was going on the show. Because I think we had didn't we have some kind of, not grant, but we were put on the air specifically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
do
There
that.
was a group that gave money towards the development of the show, towards the pilot or whatnot, and so because of those themes, there were pro-life themes, and the idea that this young mother would choose to have her child.
Wow.
Can we?
So last episode, she was willing to spend $75 on Chinese food, and now she's really broke.
See how that works?
Yeah, it's money on this show is a really interesting thing. It's not it doesn't flow like kernels, or it does flow like kernels, or it flows more than kernels.
Hey, John, it was the Script Development Fund for the Family Friendly Programming Forum was who created it, gave us our.
Yep, and they were not happy with the way that Rory lost her virginity.
Can you imagine being so
what is-
rich you think laundry day is like a fun young kid thing? Oh my god.
Wait, but were they still funding the show after that though?
No, but they feel like they were a part of the reason the show came to be.
How very possessive. Inaccurate.
Yeah, I would say accurate. I mean, to a degree, yeah.
The amount of self-centeredness from this woman, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Emily can feel the cold shoulder. How do you feel about Rory's behavior with her grandmother here?
Culturally speaking,
Or just,
think
I mean, in the context, yeah, I think from the context of sort of your own personal cultural comfort zone, I guess, as well as sort of just how it's going for these characters and the way that they sort of live.
Had it been my family, then we would have had a conversation shortly after the wedding and it would have been hashed out and resolved by now.
100% agree.
Emily deserves this, bro. She deserves to suffer for this. No. I don't feel bad for her at all.
Same, Lily. I agree with you.
And Rory needs to do that because that's how it's going to get Emily's attention. Because Emily does not care about how Laura feels about this, but she cares about how Rory feels. So.
Very much so.
The Lorelai speaking through her teeth thing is something that I've noticed. I've been noticing a lot more lately. You know what I'm talking about? That
Yeah, I see.
where she's just like kind of doing this a lot lately, like.
Does she talk through her teeth, or does she have just like quite big teeth in comparison to the size of her mouth?
I was not thinking that.
Oh my goodness.
Megan just went there.
I wasn't trying to
here we
roast her.
go,
I just I wasn't sure if she was like gritting her teeth or not.
No, I mean, I just feel like that's a thing that Lorelai will like kind of smile and just speak through her teeth sometimes. I love it. I think it's a really interesting character idiosyncrasy.
Hey, tidbit, we shot this on January 31st, 2005.
Oh, wow. Why is that interesting? I
just found a photo in my.
Oh, I was like, oh, January 31st. Yeah, that was a date.
Oh, this is
That
good.
interesting photo.
No, not an interesting.
You.
Emily in this outfit. It's shot on January 31st.
I don't like how Emily is just kind of brushing it to the side and pretending like nothing happened.
Neither does Rory.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, but Rory isn't facing it either. She's kind of brushing it aside and just giving it like.
Actually, yeah, I don't like that either. I'm very much on your side with how our family would have dealt with it, because my family would have done the same thing as yours.
Yeah, she totally could have apologized instead of trying to like defend herself and argue with Rory. Not a good approach.
Now, to be fair, Luke broke up Lorelai and Luke.
That is actually the accurate. However, that's the technical breakup. But really, truly, they were broken up by this whole fiasco.
But if they
monologue,
that wouldn't have.
That was. I love that Rory scene. That's so.
Me too.
It was good. I loved Rory in that scene. I'm 100% behind Rory's behavior and everything that she did there. And I think that it's true. Like, why is Emily just ignoring that? She absolutely knows what she did, and she should at the very
But
least,
she doesn't care.
bring it up.
She
but
got
doesn't
what she
care.
wanted.
But I also think
I
it's
mean, yeah.
vote on Emily, but like if Lorelai and Luke were stronger in their relationship, then it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, but I mean, they were still trying. I mean, they're still trying to find that, you know. I mean, like, give them like another year or 2 years, maybe they would be. But you know, they got to get to that 2-year part, right?
I mean,
Before
it's different for Emily to get through, and it was Christopher. That was the thing.
But they
I don't know. Yeah. Well, we all have our perspectives on that. Mine is that Emily is the main factor in all of that happening. And sure, there are lots of little things, the weakness of Chris, the fact that the relationship between Lorelai and Luke had not completely gelled yet, you know? And I think that Emily knew all those things. She knew the weakness of Chris. She knew that she was at a place where she could still disrupt that relationship, you know? And that is the part that is the lamest, you know?
This is
Yeah.
unrelated, but did anyone notice that Emily's hair is smaller, like less big since she got back with Richard?
Definitely much smaller.
A lot smaller. That's so funny.
Ooh, listen, guys.
That hair thing might have more to do with the fact that we had a lot of revolving crew on our show.
Yeah, but in the last few episodes, Emily's hair was massive.
Yeah, well, what I mean is, I think we switched hairstylists at that point in time. It's possible. I'll have to look at the
See, they started.
I wonder if the Family First Foundation was against this.
Lorelai's trying to be so supportive, but you can tell she's definitely apprehensive about the relationship.
Honestly, I feel.
I also, this was another example of Lorelai sort of talking through her teeth. I feel like I'm seeing it a lot more because I feel like the Lorelai character is holding back a lot of what she really feels. Like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
great. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
It seems like she doesn't really enjoy any of the relationships that Rory starts off. Like she didn't like Dean, she didn't like Jess at first, and now she doesn't like Logan at first.
Totally. I'm curious if she would have liked Marty.
She probably
I
would.
think she did.
She really probably would have.
Meeting.
She's always liked
like,
Rory's
not very
back.
good strings though.
That reinforces the idea that Dad would have reinforced it had he.
Exactly. Mhm.
Do you notice the placement on that Stars Hollow sign where it's at?
not in
Ever-
the same position.
Ever since you said something, Valerie,
Literally
about
never.
the sign, I see it all the time now. That
So do fire
I love
hydrants.
Oh,
how
this
he's
is
just
where
so
it's going,
gotcha.
Diana. This is where it's going.
yeah.
He's so shocked. It's like, what's happening?
That story reminds me of the same story that she told to the lady over the phone when she was trying to get Peyton Sanders' contact.
Yes. Perfect.
For the jam story. The French jam with the nut.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Nancy.
Bruh. Yuck.
Still not wearing the glasses though.
Ooh, that's weird. I didn't even notice that.
That door is really dirty.
We'll have to ask Keiko about that. I don't know why.
Well, the character is sort of got at this point in the story. She's decided that she doesn't want to wear glasses, like she, because she doesn't like the look of it, and she got contacts. But in a very recent episode, there was this whole thing where Zach basically said that he really likes her in the glasses and had this like bonding moment with Mrs. Kim, and you would have thought that like she would kind of be like, oh, I guess I'll wear my glasses again, but maybe not. Maybe she's like, no, I like the way I look without glasses, so that's gonna be what I do from now on, which I guess
There
I can respect.
2 books behind Lane that say Pushkin on them.
Oh yeah, nice catch, Lily.
What's interesting about that is I wonder if when she accidentally didn't wear them the day on set, that it provoked them to like, well, hey, maybe let's play with the storyline in that. I'm wondering. I don't.
No, because like she was all made up, and it was like a huge part of the actual episode. Like Zach's like, she's like, do you notice anything different? And Zach's like,
No,
your face looks naked.
What I mean is because that event happened maybe a couple months before. I wonder if the writers decided to like, hey, let's play that with that in a storyline.
Oh, I see. That like.
I think she
Yeah.
just took the Pushkin book and put it in her pile.
She did.
She did.
My bathing month?
So Melissa McCarthy, was she pregnant at that time with, was it Vivian, her daughter? Valerie, do you know?
I don't remember, but I told you the date was January 2005, January 31st, 2005. So we could backtrack it, look at when her kid was.
Diana, now you have me racing, trying to figure out like where this is going.
This is really all I was alluding to.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, just
So
to,
I'm like, is he gonna use this against her in order to I don't know, in order to get them back together?
well,
Now you have me.
No,
I
actually,
think
it's just being nice.
what I really love is that, when Lorelai and Richard actually kind of connect on a business thing, it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Her oldest was born May 5th, 2007.
So that would be a no.
And we were talking about, you caught that he's saying you should sell the place, and
Yeah.
that it's real.
Yeah, that's actually Pepsi.
Where is Brian?
Beheaded.
They can tell back.
They're on date night.
Brian is probably out somewhere sleeping with Mia.
Oh, I don't like that picture.
So you better stop picturing it.
The look on Zach's face when he gets all sweet and cutesy is very disconcerting. Oh my goodness, is this the
Just watch, John. Just watch. Just watch.
oh no.
Yeah, same.
I feel very uncomfortable right now.
Wearing glasses.
Same.
Just watch. You never noticed how long her hair was this season. It's super.
I am so uncomfortable.
I'm really
watching-
uncomfortable, guys.
Just wait. Just wait.
Oh.
I don't take crap like this. Leave.
Goodness.
Arrested.
I'm dying to see the rose petals. I'm like trying to look around that couch. Not seeing any rose petals.
I feel like she cleaned them up because she thought he tracked her.
I could see Delane doing that.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if the family friendly foundation like this one.
You notice Zach's shirt is inside out.
Would you you're not getting any tonight?
God bless Lane Camp.
I love it. I love it. Oh no, Zach, you're not getting any tonight.
Are you relieved, John?
Oh, I'm majorly relieved.
It annoys me that she's cutting these way too short for the base.
Majorly.
I don't think that's
It
in
is
vain.
like
And there's no water in the vase either, I don't think.
Just the fact that there's all those flowers laying there already for her to.
and that is just the ugliest bouquet. Just a bunch of little flowers hanging out of the
Emily, shut up.
I love when Emily gets jealous. It's hilarious.
They also think about how many flowers that they had to, how many bushels of flowers that they had to have of those purple ones just to be able to get through this scene.
No.
It's like I just want to sit down.
Those flowers were replaced with taller ones.
They were.
And a lesser amount.
She really used the glasses only for the date night.
Did you hear the beans?
Hey, look, there's Pushkin again.
She said nothing else stuck, but now this. That may be why she's not wearing her glasses. It's another rebellious thing.
She had them on during the day.
Oh yeah, for Zach.
This is so random, but I'm currently making banana bread and I bought chocolate chips for it yesterday and I don't know where they went. And I don't remember falling asleep last night.
Kirk ate them.
Damn,
Check the
Kurt.
fridge, check the freezer. That's where ours.
Not
True.
another box.
Well, they're not in there, but I found tequila. He looks mad.
Mrs. Kim is like, what?
I love that. I love that Lee like, pulls a Mrs. Kim and just like yells at her on the.
Yes, it's great.
Yeah, those woods look very real.
Do they?
That was very sarcastic. Oh, okay. I forgot that that's why. Oh my gosh, I've seen this.
They look like a bunch of branches that were just leaned up against the wall.
With an E fan behind them to make them move.
God, he's such a charmer.
Will he ever call her Rory? Will he ever call her Rory?
He
or will
has
only get
already.
Ace from here on
Yeah.
out?
He did call her Rory.
He does when he's serious.
Bro. When they were dancing at the wedding thing, he called her Rory.
Tina, I'm
John,
really
you asked
concerned. I don't know where they went.
John, you asked if they had sex. Didn't they have sex at the wedding?
No.
No.
I don't think so. I
They didn't
interpret
get
that
that
as
far.
that they just got a little hot and bothered.
They had sex after
No,
Marty.
because
I think
yeah, because if you remember when those girls came over, she was like, I almost got together with a guy. So like
Yeah.
she was like, it didn't happen, basically.
she wanted to experiment, but they got into
Yeah. No, I
My
kind
mom
of
and
interpreted
Luke and
this last thing, I interpreted that we faded to black on the
Rory is
video
corny.
right now.
Yes, when he climbed through the window, that was the night that they consummated their relationship.
The Warner logo. Oh, what is this? What was that?
The way we
I
were.
was born.
What's the Star Born?
Star Born, my bad.
She Netflixed all three, remember? Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I was singing that
what?
song.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Oh,
Kick
this is
her.
gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
Shh.
think is me.
Just Kirk. Kirk is there.
Kirk has been getting free food all day. Of course he's there.
I love that scene. That does not make sense considering he put 8 packs of sweetener in his pizza.
He was pocketing the sweeteners.
Very true.
Wasn't it half calf?
Do you see you take his plate outside?
Good.
You deserve it.
God help her. Jesus. Ugh. Ugh.
She had good intention. Her just
I
execution.
hope she
was
trips
not good.
down the stairs.
Oh, that would
This scene feels very much like a 1940s movie. The dialogue.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's
What did she feel the need to interrupt her adult daughter's love life?
Yeah, twice.
just that line, God help her, like that she wants you, God help her. It's like, what do you, how do you think that that's cool to tell a person, to say that to a person?
Just watch.
Watch this.
Yep.
Woo! Together.
Yay.
Get it, girl.
They always make out in doorways, and I love it.
And the crowd goes, what?
Finally.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So we have a hearty time of discussing Luke and Lorelai this
Did you
episode.
see that coming, John?
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. Well, I mean, when I heard the doorbell ring, I was like, that's Luke, and he's probably going to come in and just give her a big old smooch. But
Yeah.
But I didn't see it coming in the larger episode. I'm not even totally sure I saw it coming after the conversation with Emily. I thought that he was going to maybe take a little bit more time. We're going to get some other folks up here on the couch to chit chat with us. We're running a little bit behind today, so we'll go over just a bit, and then I'm going to have to jump off relatively soon after 11, but we are open now.
Me, random again. I really cannot find the chocolate chips.
Did you eat them, Tasha?
And no,
I told you, Kirk ate.
Maybe that's why you fell asleep. You went into a chocolate.
How does
Don't, I
With
won't blame
the
myself.
song,
I
The
checked the
Man That
freezer,
Got
I checked the cupboard, checked my bedroom, nothing.
Hi, folks. It's nice to meet everyone. I'm new.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hey.
This is
Lee.
Hi.
Good to meet you, Lee. Thanks for coming up here and hanging out with us. I
That's
know
a
that
cute
it can be a little intimidating.
Thank
for
you. He thinks he's
newcomers.
cute as well, and yeah, it's fine. It's, I there was a few times where I was like, oh, I want to say something, so I'm glad I got a chance to come up.
Good.
I spent my first 2 weeks yelling at my iPad trying to talk.
Definitely, I was like, oh my, I can't remember what it was. Someone was talking about something. I'll have to think about it and come back. But there was one thing, and someone else brought it up excellently, and I was so relieved because I could not stop thinking about it, and I couldn't say anything.
What was it?
I'm trying to think. It was something about Emily, and a past thing she'd done and how it related to one of these episodes, but it was a few seasons ago, and I was like, oh, someone might not remember to bring that up and connect it. and I always think about it when I watch this season. I'm gonna have to think of what it was now because it stuck with me. But now my mind's gone blank on it. But I'll think about what it was.
What are you an Emily fan, or are you in the camp that like really can't, are really not happy with her generally?
I don't hate, I would say is a strong word. I definitely don't think Emily is a great person. I think she has her moments that are quite nice, but for the most part, I think she is generally not a great person. She acts very selfishly. She very tunnel vision on her own life and her own wants. So
well, that's also, in all fairness, that's also a quality that you can attribute to Lorelai, just specifically the idea of being like focused on their own life and their own wants. I just think that there's a little bit of a difference, and even still, like Lorelai has her own kind of judgmental way of talking to people occasionally, but really like the main difference between the characters is the kind of manipulative, undermining
I would
way.
say. Yeah, I was thinking that word as well. That's definitely the key difference between someone being a little self-absorbed and going out of their way to manipulate the outcome of things to get their way.
I've been largely an Emily apologist. I feel like this season has absolutely moved me into the camp of those who have been like, just you wait.
Yeah. Are you feeling a bit silly right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of this stuff. I mean, and it's just that speech there at the end that she had to Luke. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I know that we're supposed to take that speech as kind of like Emily, cares about her daughter and wants her to find the love that she wants and whatnot. But I just didn't interpret it that way. Like, it's really clearly.
I don't think that's how it's supposed to be interpreted.
No, I don't think anybody interpreted it.
Okay,
I think
good.
it definitely comes across as she wants Lorelai back in her life, and this is the only way it's going to happen. So she has to make it happen.
Yeah. I also think she wants her to be in her society life, so she has to do whatever she has to do.
Okay, so question: do you think this will work? Because if that's the only reason that she has, like, that's a pretty like tissue paper thin reason that Lorelai should be able to see through immediately. Will that move the needle for Lorelai? Like, even though Lorelai's now back together with the man that she loves and all is great, like, and her mother did inspire that, like, should she be like, should she reconcile with her mother?
No.
No,
Because
I don't
the
think
whole
so.
reason all this happened is because of Emily.
I mean, it's her mother.
Emily,
Let's just,
quote, unquote,
but just
tried
to clarify though, it
reconcile.
is her mother. I want to.
But it is her mother. But at a certain point, Emily has to acknowledge that she's 36 and she's allowed to make adult decisions, and you don't mess with your adult child's love life the way that Emily did.
I don't think I've ever
He's
met
still
a mother
treating
that.
Lorelai like she's 16.
I haven't thought about that.
That
Let's
is
hear it.
excessive, but I mean, there are mother-in-laws that will insert themselves in other people's lives. Mothers, mother-in-laws, grandmothers. I don't know.
Yeah, and also, isn't that like part of their society that they do that type of stuff? Like, even if the kids are adults, they still insert themselves in their lives. Like, we definitely see that with the other parents in the high society caliber.
But to say she shouldn't even try it, I feel insinuates that one, saying Lorelai is not capable of forgiveness and reconciliation, and two, is saying that Emily is beyond redemption. So to not try,
Right.
just,
Well, I don't think that Emily is beyond redemption. I like that. I don't think any character is beyond redemption. But I don't think anything she did in that final scene is worthy of redemption. I don't think I don't think she redeemed herself. I mean, just the way she talks to him, the fact that she just basically says, "I don't like you. I don't want you to be with my daughter, but it's the only way." So that's, it is, Valerie, that was really astute. It is very old school film. Like that moment, Emily is very much a like classic film villain. Mustache twirling villain.
Well, I mean,
I'm
like,
curious. I'm curious if the nod to the Star is Born, having that old movie also playing right after might also indicate that too. But just real quick, the hair thing you guys were talking about with Emily, I do remember there was some hair issues and problems with Emily towards those seasons. I think she became very unhappy with the way her hair was being styled. And shortly after, I'm looking at like who took over. David Blair took over hair for her after in 2005. Let's see, I'm trying to remember where he popped in, but I think that they replaced Romy at that point in time, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, in the early part of this season,
yeah.
there were a couple of episodes where she really, truly looked like she was wearing a helmet. It was a massive, massive, completely. It was a massive, solid, like
that's Emily's armor.
Kelly was so upset at her hair. She really, really hated it. She hated whatever the hairstylist was doing to her at that point in time. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, the person was let go because of that. It might have taken them a few episodes. She might have been fighting it towards the end. So she was like, no, do it this way, do it this way. And maybe she was trying to, and then eventually they found someone who could do hair the way Kelly wanted. I mean, and this is not a negative towards Kelly. It was a negative towards the way the person was crafting her hair. And the person that came in, this guy named David Blair, actually, I worked with him on Mad Men. So like, he knows his stuff. He knows how to do great hairstyles on women. And I don't know if you remember him or not, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I wanted to, if I could jump in, I wanted to, since we're talking about Emily, just point out that Emily is an equal opportunity insultist. Like she will insult, you know, she just with Christopher, she said he's a weak man, he's nice, but he's weak. And
Ooh,
she just
that's
kind of
true.
says whatever comes to her head. That she's kind of like Paris that way. They both just kind of say whatever they want to say, and you're just gonna have to deal with it because that's just their character. So what she said to Luke was absolutely abhorrent. It was just horrible. But she just does that with all the men, kind of.
That is actually a really good point. I had not really thought of it in that context, but it's totally true. We accept it out of Paris all the time. Like Paris says things that are just absolutely horrible. She says it to everybody, and we accept that that's the way it is.
Yes.
And it's true. Emily kind of does the same thing.
I do also notice that like people accept what Paris does on the show because they think there's something mentally wrong with her, which is weird.
But there's
because
also
Emily,
delivery.
yeah,
There's
like
delivery,
it's
but
proper
they're just
delivery. That's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah, but
both her and Emily does a great job at doing their delivery because they'll give it to
John.
anybody.
John, Emily and Paris are kind of the way that Amy can talk in real life. Like that's
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like
That's literally how Amy
like
talks. Yes.
their voice.
Right. Yeah, Amy. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I was never super close to Amy enough to like. Amy was always very like. I never had an interaction where Amy said anything that made me insecure or was negative at all. I've heard that she can be very snarky, and
Yeah.
I've always interpreted them to mean that that Amy tends to talk like Lorelai, that she's like lightheartedly judging and making funny, quirky comments about people. I've never heard it personally. I guess maybe the closest that I heard was like when we were doing the ATX festival on stage. She said a couple of things that were kind of in the spirit of Lorelai more than Emily. You know, in response to some questions that were being asked. But like in general, I've never heard of it as like, you know, like that Amy is like a Paris or an Emily. Although I guess I could imagine how you'd be able to channel that if you could. I mean, the way that Lorelai speaks about people is not like a massive step away from Paris and and Emily. Like those characters are kind of an exaggeration of a lot of things we see from Lorelai as well. Lorelai's almost like Emily in Paris light, right?
Yeah,
I gotta
I'm-
say
The
something
main difference is
like-
she doesn't say it to their face.
Like that's
Usually.
that's totally true. Yes.
And also, John, like what was mentioned, like how we said, oh yeah, Amy's kind of talks like Emily or Paris. The time when I've seen her do that the most is when she critiques scripts.
All right, I have to say something before I lose my train of thought. Going back to the whole Emily and Luke thing, your points are valid. All y'all's points are valid. I think also she was also probably saying it just because like she just wants her daughter back, and that's the only way that she'll get her back is if Luke is back in her life. So I don't think she did it because she like obviously wants Luke and Lorelai together, because we all know that she doesn't. She did it solely because she wants Lorelai back and she wants Rory to stop being mean to her, even though Rory has every right to be.
So you're
And so what?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I think Emily doesn't really have, she had like good intentions. She may have thought she had good intentions with what she was saying. And I can't say much more because tomorrow's episode will kind of shed light on that. But she had good intentions. Her execution was horrible as always. But maybe she had some heart in it. But I really think she just solely did it for the fact that she wanted Rory to stop being bitchy to her and wanted Lorelai back.
So you're saying it wasn't a moment of personal growth, but it was just
Nope.
Emily being Emily.
No, she just
That
wanted
makes
things back to normal.
100%. That makes sense. Absolutely.
I agree completely. That's what she just knew that she had to maneuver the chess pieces a completely different way to get what she wants.
Oh yeah.
Earlier,
Good
Yeah,
thought.
that fits a
earlier,
character.
John, you had said that you felt like Emily sort of inspired Luke to get back with Lorelai. I never saw it as that. I always thought that, well, I mean, I guess in essence, kind of, because the conversation, because something was mentioned, but I always thought that it was more that Emily revealed that Lorelai hasn't been speaking to them. I think that the thought that Lorelai loved him enough to stop speaking to her own family is more what inspired that.
It's the first time that we all
That's
see-
interesting. I hadn't considered that, but you know, I like that. I like that. I don't know if that's true, but
is
because
it
because I don't know if you could actually say for sure that that's what inspired him, but I'd like to think that that's what inspired him.
I
I
think
actually
it's also the
disagree with
first
that.
time since she's 16 that she's taking a stand against something that's Lorelai, against her parents. Because if you think about it, with that Peyton date, Richard was like, "Oh, you have to go on a second date with her. You can't possibly not." And so we reluctantly believed that she did go. But this is the first time she's saying, "Look, this is what I want," and basically, F you.
I think, was it Shauna that mentioned that he was inspired by her not talking to family. I think what
That was
really
Mandy.
inspired him
That was Mandy.
Oh, Mandy. I'm so sorry. I can't always recognize voices.
I've gotten so good. I know every one of your voices. Really, I've gotten really good at it. I don't need to look at my phone anymore.
That's impressive.
But basically, I think what it really inspired him, because if you remember when Lorelai like that little thing, she gave him back his cape. She was like, "I get it, you want space," and he was like, "Okay, I can't say anything to that. You want to be done, right?" So when Emily came in, it was like she still wants to. That I think that is what made him go, because he has been thinking this whole time, Lorelai is over me, and I'm just gonna. That's just how it is.
Well,
So I think that's why he went out.
Hmm.
I don't think it was that.
I
he
have to
thought that
agree
he
with
was-
part of that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't think that he was thinking that she's over me. It's that nothing's changed, and it's you do the same thing over and over again, and you can't expect different results. Finally, Emily says that she won't get involved in it. She'll stay out of it, and he realizes he can actually be with her.
this won't happen again.
I think I like that a lot. I also agree with you. There's no way that he thinks that she's over him. I mean, like, you know,
Maybe
that
over him was like a bad choice of words, but I guess I can't like figure the exact words. Basically, I think he just actually realizing that she isn't like in the space that he thought she was, with her whole like, thinking that she also wants quote unquote space or something. And that she's actually
why would he think that from this conversation with Emily? Like, how would Emily know that?
Well, no, because Emily's like, she still wants to be with you, and at this point, the last thing he's heard from Lorelai was like, I get that you want space, and that's that, and we're not together anymore.
But why would he think that?
Emily-
Why would he think that Emily would understand, would know that about her daughter? Like, he knows, wouldn't he assume that Emily and Lorelai haven't spoken?
I don't know.
Or maybe it's the fact that
Not
maybe
necessarily.
it's the fact that he knows that Emily and Lorelai haven't spoken that gives him a much better understanding of where Lorelai is. That if Lorelai has taken that extreme of a measure, because remember, he said, like, when you're with a Gilmore, you have all the Gilmores with you, right? So he understands that no matter what, even though they snark at each other and snap at each other, they're still always in each other's lives. And the fact that it has come to this means that he is at a much higher status in Lorelai's mind, as you know, as a lover, than anybody else before. And maybe that makes him feel like, oh wow, I didn't realize just how deeply Lorelai loved me.
You know, I agree with that, John, and I also think that the fact that Emily loosens her reins and is just like, you know what, whatever, she loves you, she can have you, I'm done, I'm not gonna mess with it anymore, really gives Luke kind of like the end of, okay, like, it can be a relationship. I can focus it on, like, it's me and Lorelai. Because like you said, he understands that if you're with a Gilmore, you're with the whole Gilmore family. And that's very accurate, but it's also kind of, you need kind of that approval to be with a Gilmore. We've seen it countless times before on how that can plan out. If they accept you or not, it doesn't really go in your favor as one of the boyfriends of the Gilmore Girls. So to have Emily go, you know what, I don't like you and all this stuff, but I'm just gonna stop messing with the relationship. Here you go. That, on top of the fact that Lorelai is deliberately avoiding her family, well, mostly her mom, because of what happened. It's like, okay, this is clear. I understand that. I know what you think of now, and I'm
Lost you for a second.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. You lost me.
But I get it. I get it.
My
And
bad.
I think I think that's where I'm, which I think is a little, I think that's a dash of what a few people are saying. That's a little bit of what Lily's saying. That's a bit of what Sherry's saying. You know, I think that it's a lot of that stuff all rolled up into one. I totally buy this idea that he is now understanding something about how Lorelai feels about him that he didn't quite understand before, and that is inspired largely by how largely by this understanding that Lorelai has gone to this extreme because of what happened. And I think that, that like the fact that Emily is saying, regardless of how I feel about you, I am backing off, does suddenly change things for him in terms of, okay, it looks like I'm probably going to not have to deal with this bullshit anymore.
I think we also have to remember that he doesn't really have a family, so he can't fathom at the beginning that, like he said to her in Doses, you can't not talk to your family, like, because he just can't fathom that. He's a little jealous that they're there. They may be a pain in the ass for him, but they're still alive and they're there. And she's talking about cutting them off because their relationship means more to her.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we
he
see how
can't
Luke
fathom
treats his family.
because he would do anything to have his parents still around.
Yeah.
Well, if
That's
you
a big
remember,
point.
oh yeah, if you remember back in when Rory and Jess first started dating, if we go back to the comment someone made about how like I'm not going to fight it type thing. If you remember going back to when Jess and Rory first started dating, when Luke and Lorelai were talking after the dance, and he was like, "You approve of this?" And she's like, well, Rory's 17. It's probably about time for Jess. Like, I hope she's like, I just want her to be happy at this point. Like, she's kind of, I don't know how much of a good parallel that is, but it kind of seems like in terms of like the Gilmore's relationships with people that other people don't necessarily approve of, they can't fight it really because they're the Gilmores and they're going to do what they want and kind of be FU to the people who don't care. And so I think like Rory and Lorelai kind of have a good parallel with that because they'll date who they want regardless of other people's feelings. And sometimes that turns out well and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, we've seen it firsthand with how their relationships have been.
I have a question for the is there any context in which Emily could have expressed her thoughts or opinions about Lorelai's relationship that would have been more well received in any type of context, or do you think that it was
well received by who? By us or by Luke? Because it seemed pretty well received by Luke.
well received by Lorelai? Because I mean, I think that
Oh, her behavior. Oh.
I think that if she'd have, gone to Lorelai and been like, I have concerns because of this and this and this, and she was calm and polite about it, like, I'm just saying this because I love you and I want the best for you, sort of thing. And then Lorelai was like, no, I don't really agree with that. Thanks, though.
Yeah.
And then Emily was respectful in return, then maybe it would have been fine.
I can't imagine a scenario in which Emily comes to Lorelai and says, I don't like this guy, I don't want you dating him, and Lorelai doesn't say something extremely snarky, snappy in return that just ends the conversation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think in any scenario it would have been well received by Lorelai, especially because she seems to sometimes purposely do things that she knows will upset her parents. So I think that, like, if Emily had come and said, I have these concerns, I think that Lorelai would have been like, you have those concerns, so I'm going to make it work even when it doesn't. Like, I think she would have done it out of spite.
We have to remember too that they don't have a good relationship, period. So anything Emily says to Lorelai, she's going to automatically reject. They don't have that kind of relationship where they can just sit down and have a really good heart to heart. That's just not where, that's why she left the house when she was 16 years old. So if they were more respectful to each other all around, then yeah, would receive better. But that's just not how they work.
Yeah.
Emily can't get over that she's not 16 anymore and that she can make her own decisions and she knows what's best for her at 36. Because Emily's still trying to. I'm making the best decisions for her. She doesn't know what she wants or what she needs.
Well, let me ask this. Do you think that if because this has come up a lot, this idea that Emily is treating Lorelai like a 16-year-old because she left at 16 and never had the opportunity to do that, and so their relationship is stunted in that way, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that if Lorelai had stuck around, that Emily would be behaving any different?
No.
No.
Not at all. I don't think
I
Emily's behaving that way because she left at that age. I think that's just Emily's personality to be doing that. It's just talk down to people, and that I think that's just how she is.
It seems very societal based than anything else.
True.
I think an interesting point, something I hadn't thought of before, it just kind of came to me. In retrospect of all of this, I think it speaks very much to Emily's pride, because if you think about it, I know this isn't in keeping with her character and we can't ever imagine her doing something like this, but her goal in going to Luke was she wanted to be back in touch with Lorelai. She didn't want her to be back with Luke. She just wanted that other thing to be fixed through getting back together with Luke. But there was always an option instead of going to Luke, go to Lorelai, genuinely apologize, And then there was a possibility maybe Lorelai would forgive her and maybe Luke wouldn't be in the picture. So her pride was genuinely that big that she never would have even entertained the idea to just gone to Lorelai and apologize for her actions.
I also think, not in regards to Lorelai and Emily, but Christopher's parents talked down to him as well. So I think that's kind of just how it is in that society.
And their parents talk down to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a society of control. There's never really freedom.
Yeah, but Lorelai has broken out of that. That's really what this show is about how or one of the major themes, this idea that you can sort of break that cycle, because it seems like that, we saw it with Trix, Emily to Lorelai, and Lorelai could have stayed in that world and potentially become something not too different from her own mother, but she sort of broke out of it. Maybe because she's, that you could argue why, like, from a psychological standpoint, whether like, Lorelai is just the type of person who never would have been able to, or if the circumstances, her getting pregnant, all of that drove her out of that, and because she's been alone for so long, she never really got rooted into that world the way that Emily did, and therefore wouldn't really become like her parents.
But there are parallels though between Lorelai and Emily, just like there's some parallels between Rory and Emily and so I don't know that those generational cycles of behavior patterns are really different.
Yeah, well, they certainly haven't gone away completely, but there are some pretty big differences.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think
big enough that we can love the Lorelai character in a way that we have a harder time doing so with Emily. But to your point, for sure, like in general, that family, they have these sort of quirks of judgment and selfishness and whatnot. But it feels like because Lorelai broke away and has had to sort of become her own adult by herself outside of that world, that has sort of morphed into something a little bit less, just a little bit more lovable, I guess you could say. Or Lorelai was just born that way, a little bit more lovable than her family, and that's why she went away. I don't know. Lisa had some thoughts, but I go.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna pop out and say goodbye, and maybe someone else can pop onto the couch. It's tomorrow.
It's now open. It's now open to anybody.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow. It's the same time. It's our 8 a.m. Pacific time show. That's 11 a.m. Eastern time, and everywhere in between. So same thing. And we're gonna have another reservation system for tomorrow. And tomorrow's episode will be 300 kernels for both. And then if you're just doing the watch, that will be what, 60% of that for the watch and 40% if you want to just do the post show. And we're only going to have a few slots available for that.
Cool. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Is
8 a.m.
Thanks, Val.
is Pulp Friction, or it's Pulp Friction at that point, right?
It is Pulp Friction, yes, and that's going to be with you, Stan, Nick Holmes, Alan, Shelly, and my sister.
I sent your sister a photo of her Azuma, so maybe she'll post it from the day.
Yeah, actually, when I was like posting some of those on social, I actually looked and found a few of her. I didn't even realize that there were some floating around the internet.
I took one from her, so
I'm eager to chat with her about it. We've been texting her and I a little bit, but I've been like trying not to like talk too much about it because I want to ask her a bunch of questions with with us within the group, stuff that I remember when she was actually like back then. I'll just say that. And that will be fun.
I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.
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 Hey, John.
Has some thoughts, like
I just got a message from good old Sheev, who was up late.
Oh, sounds about right.
Who was up very late and could not join us, is here, but is probably still doing some hair of the dog. Is that correct? Would that be a correct assumption, Chief? He's going to clarify. Hi there.
Man, it's rough.
That's what I thought.
See, you would have made it on the couch this morning too. It was fun.
Yeah, I saw a few messages.
Yeah, we missed.
That's
You were
okay.
up
It was
late
it was a
too,
Friday
weren't you?
night. You're having fun. I totally get it.
Yeah.
These
sorry about
Saturday,
that.
these Saturday ones, especially as
Tricky.
as the world starts to come back to normal, I'm expecting our Saturday mornings will be difficult for folks to join who were out partying, or even just partying alone in their house.
Yeah, over FaceTime. It was
Yeah.
bizarre. It was a bizarre one. But yeah, I'm actually gonna have to go back now and watch the episodes that I missed. But unfortunately, without, I know exactly. I was so looking forward to it.
Well, we've got the recordings. We've got the recordings.
Oh, good. I was like, 'cause otherwise I'll just have to watch them in quiet without the benefit of the social interaction here.
No, it looks like Alan is in the audience, so you should have some good recordings for it. And the episode this morning was pretty epic. It was pretty awesome. Not just having Sean here for it, but just the episode itself is awesome. So I don't have much more time. I'd say like another 5 to 10 minutes. What do we want to focus on? Lisa has
Lane and Zach.
Oh, Lane and Zach.
Can I point out
feel
something
your
that I've never
discomfort,
known? Can I point out something I never noticed before, but I thought was kind of interesting?
Yeah.
You know how when Dave Rogalski was on the show and he told Miss Kim he doesn't like soda because the carbonation freaks him out? Tonight, when Zach poured Lane's soda, he said it's flat, just the way you like it.
Ooh. Mandy.
Consistency.
That is a really, really interesting little tidbit. So are we to assume that is more evidence that she was always meant for Dave Rogalski and this is just settling, or is it that she like she has been still pining over him all these years and she's drinking her soda the way he does? I don't know how to take that, but it's really interesting.
I didn't read that much into it. I just thought that the Palladinos had something against carbonation.
That actually may be the truest. That might be the best way to interpret that.
I like the overthinking aspect of it. Yeah.
But that's the heart of Remarcus, is that we are overthinking. We're seeing things that the writers themselves didn't even intend.
I can just imagine Lane sitting alone in the dark, pining over Dave with her sad soda.
I mean, so now, now I'm starting, because I obviously I'm spoiled on some aspects of the Lane and Zach storyline, but I didn't realize that you could say that potentially this is where their relationship, where the next stage of their relationship begins, right? Like if Lane is sort of saying, I can't have sex before marriage. Like it's not that I don't want to. It's just that like that's just in me. Like I won't be able to change that. Then that means that in order for the relationship to eventually get to that place where a man and a woman who are in love and together romantically would naturally get, these two have to get married.
I honestly
Or-
wonder if the Family Friendly Foundation liked it.
They have to get married, or I don't know, because this is the part that I'm a little hazy on. Like, well, also I didn't realize how many scenes they just really wanted to save some budget on not hiring me for the episode. But I mean, I could have walked by in the background of that scene, don't you think?
I bet that Zach kicked Brian out because he wanted to have sex with Lane.
Right, that's true. It would have
I
been funny.
think
It
it
could have
would've
been. They could have milked it for some funny humor though. and
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was gonna say.
Brian
I think that they could have made it a running joke where every date that they try to have, Brian ruins it. I think that would have been really funny.
That would have been funny. But so I don't really know if we get like a sort of, I think I can do this, Zach, even though blah blah blah. My mind has, like my upbringing has sort of ingrained these things in me, and then we get an episode where Zach and Lane have sex before marriage, or if Zach says to her, I'm good with this. Like, I love you, and I've just decided that that I'm totally fine. That I want to be with you, and that this is totally okay. And then separate. They would have to be separate from that. He would have to then decide that he wants to marry her, because I know we still have a little bit of some rocky stuff, like some rocky roads ahead in terms of the Zach and Lane relationship. And yeah, so I know that he's not going to very quickly tell her, like, I want to marry you, but I don't know. Now I'm starting to think like, does some of that rockiness come out of some of this? Like, does this shake Zach a little bit? I guess I'll have to find out. I think some of you know the answer to this question.
No, we don't.
God only knows.
Please put up your thoughts, but it requires jumping back a bit because she can't mic up because she's in the lab.
Wait, what?
Oh, Lisa has some thoughts, but she can't mic up because she's at work at the moment.
Okay.
Would it be okay if I shared?
Oh yeah, of course.
So this is about the Jess and then like Luke analogy. She says, I don't believe it's the same. One is seeing her teenage daughter dating a bad boy. The other is a stuck up snob seeing her adult daughter dating someone she doesn't think is good enough. So here's where I'm going to disagree with Lisa, and I'm sure it's probably going to hurt me later in more ways than one. But I believe that it's actually probably pretty similar. Emily is probably still advocating for what she thinks is best, just like Rory kind of did the same. So yeah, okay. So I told her
You mean Lorelai did the same?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that like mostly what we're judging is sort of how. Like, I guess I don't really have a huge problem with anybody sort of feeling like they don't think somebody is right for someone else. I guess I really just don't have a problem with that. Like, we have feelings about the people we love, and we are afraid that somebody might hurt them, or that might hurt them directly or might hurt them indirectly, right? Like just their being in their life could take them down a road that like could potentially hurt them. Like, that's just a natural thing to feel about the people that you love. So I don't really totally fault that. I do think ultimately it's the person needs to make that decision for themselves. It's not really your place to make it for them. But I don't think it's terrible to feel that way. And I guess, if you're going to bring it up to the person, how you bring it up matters. And I think how Emily brought it up was, and also just not just brought it up, but actually just like straight up, manipulated, like behind the scenes. I think it's like worlds apart from the Jess thing.
Right on.
I don't
Personally.
think it's a good way to tell anybody that you don't think that the person that they're with
it's good enough for them. I mean, obviously, plenty of people have, feelings on who other people have been with, but I know, like, with my kids, when I see them and they don't like somebody that their friends are dating, it's like, look, don't get involved in that, because it's going to wind up biting you in the ass. If they wind up working it out and getting it together, it's going to hurt you.
I know that this is an exaggeration, but what if you saw somebody that you love that was spending time with a hardcore drug addict and was getting them involved in that? I know it's a super extreme example, but because you can't really draw the line between like what is somebody who's like feels kind of like they're a bad influence and somebody who's like so very clearly a bad influence, because there's a spectrum, it's hard to like say where is that line, where is the line that you draw, because I do think that there are some people that you can feel that you loving that person and seeing how destructive another person in their life is on them. I think that I think that there is a place where you could bring that up, in some way, whether it's the most like, with the most sensitivity to the situation, whatever the case may be. But because there isn't really like a distinct line between what that person is, I can just tell you what the extremes are on each side of that spectrum. I think that it's hard for a person to judge where that line is, whether it is appropriate in this particular instance. And it's all based on how we feel. If we feel that this person is a little further to one end of the extreme on that spectrum or not.
I mean, using that extreme, I guess what it would come down to is one is a concern of safety and one is a concern about taste.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, but I think that safety, like, that's also another word that's really hazy. Safety means different things to different people. Like, if they think that like this person would indirectly cause your life to fall apart in a way that would make it unsafe for you, then that's valid. I think that word is just a little hazy, because it's very subjective what safe means. It means like, if you just only mean like that person could actually kill you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously that's like a very obvious form of safety.
So
wait.
In that sense, because you said drug addict, so there was recently an Amber Alert over here in New Jersey, and it turns out that this guy had kidnapped his mother and his son, and apparently from what the mother has posted on Facebook and has been announced all throughout my town, is that he was very abusive towards her for their entire relationship. And that, the mother saying how much she was there and how much she could do. She told her daughter to get out, and but wasn't trying to force her way and be aggressive about it, because she's going to make her decision as however way she wants. But there's always ways to go about it. It's just you got to roll with how that person feels they need to handle.
Yeah, here's another example. Like, if we want to say like, well, no, the drug addict is not great, because that that could lead to the person's death, right? So I'm seeing what you mean there by like the difference between safety and taste. But here's another one. Like, let's say you notice somebody you love hanging out with somebody who is breaking the law constantly. Maybe like stealing things, and you've noticed that the person that you love has been also kind of, because they're in the midst of that person's life, have been flirting with the idea of also engaging in those same activities. You may be thinking like, that's not safe from this perspective of that's going to destroy your life. Like, if you do that, you're going to get arrested. That's going to be on your record. You may want to step in that case. So that's also a form of trying to keep the person safe.
John.
And again, there's many ways to go about it. I mean, you can get get arrested,
but that's
your kid is going to be without you. If you get arrested, you're going to have it on your record. You have a business.
Totally.
Case, it's like, I don't like your boyfriend because he's poor.
Yes, exactly.
See, and that's the thing.
that's the point I'm trying to make, which is that it's not really about like the wanting to tell somebody, or it's not about the feeling that somebody is not right for the person that you love or could potentially hurt the person you love. I think that those are natural feelings to have, and because there's a spectrum, it's hard for you to sort of figure out where's the line between taste, my just personal preference, and me actually feeling like this person is going to hurt you in some way, right? I think that it really is more of that. It's more like what do you do with those feelings? You know, like how do you approach the person? How do you talk to the person? And I think that, you know, to Zach's example and Lisa's example, I think that the way that Emily handles it versus the way that Lorelai handled it are kind of different.
Yeah, because I mean, if I think about how Emily handled it, she told Lorelai twice that she did not approve of Luke dance. And personally, for me, my philosophy of you don't approve a person that a person is dating. You tell them once. I mostly only say it if they ask for my opinion, or if the person that I do not like that they are dating is in my space. I live here, I pay rent, you're in my space. I'm gonna tell you that I don't like you and I want you out of my house because it's my house, I'm paying for it, you're a guest, goodbye. I totally give honor to my mom for that type of mentality. But anyway, I'm gonna say it once. If the person isn't changing it up, if the person's still with that person that I do not approve, or I don't think the person is safe for them, vice versa, all I can do is say it once. And if they're still with them, they do not believe or like what I said, it's like, okay, this is totally your life. This is your journey. You're going to have to go through it, you know, the way that you do. And I'm going to step back. But I said it once. That's all I'm going to do. Emily did it twice. She gave that little passive, I don't really like him. Your truck is nice, rustic. You know, like she obviously, in her way, showed to both Lorelai and Luke that she does not approve of Luke. She does not see Luke as like the same caliber as her daughter or even her granddaughter or anyone in her family or society. And then Lorelai still dated Luke, and she was like, oh, this girl didn't listen. I'm gonna do it again. And it was the second time, the for sure second time, that made everything explode. And that was where she was at fault. That for sure is when I'm like, Emily, you said it once, she didn't listen, you should have left it alone. But that's not Emily Gilmore, and that's not Emily's character. So for entertainment purposes, I love that she did all that because that fits her character. But yeah.
Your first part was you were talking about like cohabitation, like you're sharing a place with somebody, they bring someone there, and then since you pay half, is that what you meant?
Yeah, did I get cut off again? I'm losing, like my Wi-Fi is messing up. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I heard it. It's just you. Like people are cutting up. A lot of people have been cutting up for me. I don't think it's just you.
Oh, okay.
I heard that. I heard what Carl was saying was like, if you're gonna come into my space that I live in, that I pay for, with the person that I don't approve of, then then you can leave. But if I tell you that I don't like them and you're out of my space, there's nothing I can do after that.
Yeah, it's definitely like my hands are tied. Like I kind of leave what you do with your life and your choice is up to you. But that's who I am. That's why like when I see Emily Gilmore through my personal lens, I'm like, Emily, you're doing too much. But at the same time, that is Emily Gilmore. You know, Lorelai gets it from somewhere. So yeah. And what they said about like, oh, well, how Lorelai handled it with Jess and how Emily handled it with Lorelai are completely different because Lorelai knows that Emily's way does not work because she left her when she was 16. So it is vastly different. I just think how Emily handled all of it, she messed up when she tried to do it the second time. And as I've seen throughout life, people mess up when they tell the person the second time or keep telling them over and over and over, oh, this person isn't great for you, this person isn't great for you. And they just get rid of you. You know what I mean? So that is where the line kind of gets crossed because now you're like, as people would use, say, nagging them or harassing them or badgering them to, you know, dump this person that they are completely in love with.
Okay.
I have a question to that though. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Hunter, you wanted to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so with that though, like you said, if they're in your space, then, you know, obviously that's a problem because you don't want them in your space. But so with Emily and Lorelai, if Luke is a part of Lorelai's life and she does reconcile with her parents, he now knows at this point very explicitly that Emily doesn't like him or care for him and doesn't want him around. So how can he you know, be comfortable being around them? The fact that she went to him and said all that stuff, if he and Lorelai do get back together and Emily's goal is to get Lorelai to come back and communicate with them and be a part of dinners and family functions, is she just supposed to leave Luke at home and not have him there?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, and that's where Emily keeps slipping up.
I think Emily has now accepted that if I want my daughter in my life, I have to just shut up and let him be at my house because.
But how is he uncomfortable with that?
Why would he
knows
ever?
how she feels?
Yeah, why would he ever want to come over there? Like, I mean,
Because Lorelai would ask him to.
well, to question, I mean, but still, it would be horrible for him. Like Lorelai wouldn't put him through that, and then Lorelai would be there, kind of like, by the way, Mom, the way that you said that to him means he'll never come over again, which means I'm never going to be here with the man that I love, which basically means I don't want to be here, which means that whatever you tried to do there just absolutely backfired because I'm still not going to be joining you.
Exactly.
Or Emily's going to try and do her, bring him over for dinner. Kind of.
What's kind of funny to me is the fact that Luke is the first guy Lorelai has even invited into her world. Like, Max didn't even meet Emily until Lorelai like blew up on her in the foyer of the house. And Jason, she hid that relationship from her parents until they were ready to break up. So I think it's interesting that Luke is the first guy that we've seen Lorelai really want to bring into her whole world.
I'm actually gonna head out. This has been a really, really, really nice Saturday morning discussion. We're closing in on the end of season 5. Freaking wild. I mean, really, like, I feel like we just started this season. And I'm wondering how all of this is going, because we've got to have a big explosive end for this season, and I'm wondering what's going to happen here, because we have some reconciliation now between Luke and Lorelai, so they're back together. Christopher seems like he's just been tossed to the curb, but I seem to remember David Sutcliffe on set in later seasons.
He was promoting testosterone in the movie.
He was just visiting Rory.
Yeah.
You think he was just visiting Rory? Okay.
So promoting his movie.
Yeah, he was visiting Rory. I have a question for you before you leave.
Yes. Okay.
Is season 5 your favorite so far?
Come on, Mr. Right.
I sort of feel like I want to. I was thinking about just scheduling a Gab session event where we go through episode by episode, season by season, and we just like read the quick summary, like the Wikipedia summary for that episode, just so that I can be refreshed, and then I can be kind of like, loved it or it's sort of faded for me, and that will give me a good sense of of like really where I'm at with each of these seasons. I know for a fact, for sure, season 4 was my favorite season.
Woo!
and that season 5 may be rivaling it, but I'm not totally 100% sure. I need to go through season 4 again.
4 and 5 are at least tied for you.
But
They're
that question's
close, but
also going to get asked at the end of season 5. We're midway, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we're not midway. We're actually pretty far. We're about to go into episode 17 now. So like we're closing in on episode 22. We will have that. We will end the season in the middle of next week.
Woo!
Well, maybe at the finale, I'll ask you again, and maybe you'll change your mind.
Maybe I will
Season
say that
5
season
is
5 and season
pretty
6 are
fan
clearly
favorite.
like. I think season 5 and season 6 are clearly the best seasons that we've had in the show so far. That personally, I know that some people don't feel that they like earlier seasons better, but just from like a just
Season
edge
6.
of your
You have not seen season 6. I don't think. What?
Oh, are you a season 6 person?
No, you said season 5 and season 6, and I was
Oh,
like,
sorry,
what?
season 4. Sorry, season 4 and season 5. Season 4 and season 5. Season 4 and season 5
so
are the
interesting.
best. Sorry, that was my mistake. Season 4 and
Yeah,
season
I
5.
was like, huh? Yeah,
Carl,
that makes
can
sense though.
Some of us understood you, John.
Sorry. So season 4 and season 5 right now are definitely 100%. I can say my favorite two seasons. Whether or not season 5 beats out season 6, or season 5 beats out season 4, it will be a mix of what happens in the next few episodes and me sort of needing to go back a little bit and refresh myself on season 4 to make sure that like just bang for your buck, whether like the number of episodes were just there were more bangs, like season 4 has my favorite episode in it. My favorite episode of the series is Festival of Living Art. Like I feel pretty confident now, having watched the Jews and Chinese food, which I thought like, will that rival it? Like no, Festival of Living Art is just my favorite.
I understand your rationale now. I get you.
But I also remember there were like lots of other really great episodes in season 4 and the way that it ended and all that stuff. But then of course season 5 feels like an extension of season 4 in a bit because we begin right in the thick of the action and just so I don't know. I need to see these next few episodes. I need to sort of refresh. I think it would be fun for us to have a session where we just go through and just talk like really briefly, just quick summary of an episode and then just quick like loved it or like kind of don't really so totally it's kind of faded a lot of it,
Yeah.
Because then I think that will give me like a hard defined like exactly how I feel about each of the seasons.
John, I'll tell you this. I am with you with having season 4 as my favorite season, especially now after what I learned today about the Family Friendly Foundation being upset with the season 4 finale when the season 4 finale was literally like a very good, scandalous, and writer choice thing that was done for the series.
How many people didn't know that about that there was a foundation that helped fund the development of the pilot?
I had no idea.
I think I knew like there was some sort of
I had no
conservative
clue.
thing for Carl, but I had no idea about the specifics of
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the WB being conservative, but I didn't know that a conservative group funded the pilot of Gilmore.
Well, at that point, the pilot wasn't on. I don't believe was like at that stage, it's just pilot being developed. It doesn't necessarily mean that the WB or Warner Brother. Not necessarily that Warner Brothers was even going to purchase it, or maybe Warner Brothers was like loosely a part of it at that point. I think that they came in at a really early development stage, like developing the script itself, and then the path, as you know, Carl, to getting from just script stage on to television is a very long road that has so many hoops that you have to jump through. But of course, money is really an important part of developing anything big, and so looking for funding anywhere you can get it is important. And so I could imagine the themes of the show being pitched to a group that that has those values would say, wow, yeah, we would love to get behind a show that is about a mother who chose to keep her child and raise her alone despite all of the obstacles that would come with that. Like we'll totally put money behind that. But then of course, Amy and Dan are writing like the most honest show they can, and so of course the character is going into college and she's dealing with all of the things that real people deal with and girls deal with. Like, by the way, her mother dealt with, because obviously if she could get pregnant, she also had sex before marriage at a young age. And yeah, I mean, my understanding is that they were not happy.
John, could you message me that group so then I could reach them out for funding if I ever try to create a TV show and then stab them in the back around season 4?
I mean, again, like I can't say for 100% certain that I know all the details of the story. I'm just telling you what I heard. Valerie sort of, verified what she knew. Was Sean here? Did he verify it?
No.
Or did we talk about it
I
after?
think you mentioned that you wish you'd asked him, so I don't.
Oh yeah, I wish that I had asked him. Yeah, I think that he would know probably a little bit more about that. But I also think that I think you can Google it. I don't know. I don't know if that's true either. But again, I'm saying this like in case some group is like, we absolutely did not do that, nor did we get mad. Like, what are you talking about, spreading these lies and these rumors? Like, it's just what I heard. And so I'm just gonna say that that's just something that I had heard. And so, and it sounds like Valerie heard it as well.
Seems like Amy.
You guys are amazing. This was a lot of fun. We'll be back tomorrow for Pulp Friction in the morning. As I said, it's going to be a reservation system again. There are going to only be 6, I believe 6, or no. There, I guess that would be 9. No, 9. Yeah, 9 spots. I got it. I mean, I am not good with head math. That'll be 9 spots, so not as many spots as we normally have. I am going to do 300 kernels for that one, which means 300 if you want to do both, and obviously like 60% of that if you just want to do the watch, 40% of it if you just want to do the post show. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm trying to get y'all to spend those kernels, you gotta.
Hey, I spent my kernels today for post show. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's Monopoly money. We're playing a game, so I'm trying to get the juices flowing. And again, I'll make this big pitch to everyone who has been collecting. Like, a great way to spend those kernels is on some of the amazing insight that we got today from awesome contributors here on the couch. I'm going to do it. I already took a screenshot because that's something that I need to do now. I've realized, like, I'm like, I want to tip some people, but then I'm like, wait, I can't remember who's on the couch. And I found that, like, looking at the who harvested is also not always an accurate way to, because some people don't actually show up and they just harvest. But I just took a screenshot of this couch so that I can remember everybody's faces, and I will be sending some tips later today. And I just encourage you to do the same. It's a great way. It's a great way to just show goodwill to your fellow community members and let them know that you really appreciate their voices.
Actually,
John?
Valerie.
No, cool.
No,
yeah, Valerie's in the app. See, I got to get Sean in the app. Got to get Suzanne in the app. I'm going to get Nick in the app. I'm going to get some of these folks in the app, and then they'll be able to. And also, if you are in the app, check out the polls. There's some really funny ones in there. And create some polls yourself. They're fun.
Hey, John.
Very addictive.
For tomorrow, for Pulp Fiction, isn't there going to be like 7 guest stars? Like, is it like Suzanne or Valerie coming in tomorrow morning?
Yes. I don't know if Suzanne's coming, but it's going to be Sean. Oh, no, sorry, not Sean. Nick, Alan, Shelley, my sister, Kelly, Valerie, and Stan Zimmerman. That's 6 guests. Am I missing somebody?
Yourself.
Oh, and myself. Oh, shoot. That is 7.
Yes, you were also.
All right, so that's 7. So that means that there are only 8. That means that there are only 8 spots available to bring us to 15.
When can you reserve it?
I'm gonna do that in a little bit. I have to refresh it manually, but I would say like within the hour or so it'll be up, and I'll make an announcement on the Facebook group and in Discord and inside the app.
Okay, I've been trying to say something forever.
Oh, sorry, Shauna, go for it.
That's okay. I've got like 1,000 opinions, but I don't.
We can talk about it in post.
My theory on the whole Lorelai situation for just a second, just bear with me, was that if Lorelai hadn't left home, but she had been still pregnant, and she stayed within that world, do you guys think that maybe her and Emily's relationship would have been different? Or do you think she would have allowed Emily to have more control?
Yeah, I think the relationship would have been worse.
Yeah,
I don't see it having been able to ever work. I think that if she had stayed there, they would have always been battling, and probably she would have left in some way, shape, or form. You know, I don't know. My feeling is that the reason she left home was not necessarily because of Rory. I think that it's because of who Lorelai is, like, at her core. And I don't think that she ever really totally fit into that world. That's just my opinion. But I can't really talk too deeply about it. But I encourage all of you to stick around and do so. I made a few folks moderators. I am getting now in the habit of only making a few folks moderators until we sort of figure out this whole people being blocked from rooms and whatnot. I'm trying to get down to the brass tacks and figure out exactly what's going on there. Collecting some of the stuff that folks are telling me in back channels. So because of that, I would also ask you to be sort of careful about who we make moderators. And let's just for now, let's sort of keep it a little bit more conservative. If you are a moderator, but you're planning to leave, give your moderator status to somebody else so that we can keep the room open. Obviously, it stays open as long as there is a moderator in the room. Okay.
All right.
You're awesome. I'll see you. Yes.
Thanks, John.
Awesome.
Wonderful morning, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. It was a great first time to be here.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you loved it, Lee. Thank you. All right, we'll talk
Have a
tomorrow.
great day, John.
See you tomorrow, John.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye.